and then we are about to go live. Well, we are live. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to EduMatch. Thank you so much for joining us. So follow along with us on Twitter using the hashtag EduMatch or on our watch page on YouTube Live podcasts.edumatch.org/tweet talk. So very, very, very honored to have a good friend of mine as a special guest today, Dr. Dorian Roberts, who has been on the show many, many times. So welcome back, Dr. Roberts.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So how's everything going for you today?
Everything is going well. I am not like many of our viewers. I have not started back to school yet, but I start back Monday. So this week is known as the longest Sunday night.
I hear you on that. I do. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Very, very thankful to have you today joining us here. So we're going to be talking a little bit about EduMojo, which is a movement that you coined. You coined that term. So tell us a little bit about what exactly is EduMojo?
I think EduMojo is pretty much a phrase that I started when I felt that I lost my mojo. I have been in education for 17 years. And I think that you in another group, it was you, it was Christy Kate, the wonderful Christy Kate, the wonderful Heidi, Shelly, Tammy, Justin, everybody. And I think I was at my ultimate low because I had lost. I'm a good teacher. I have the highest test scores in my area for my public schools. But it was something that I was just losing my way. I was losing my passion. It was, I felt like I had already reached my top and I was confused at what my new top was. And I felt that I lost that mojo, that passion that I used to give to my students that I felt I wasn't given anymore. So EduMojo to me is that passion that not just benefits your students and the purpose of you educating them, but it's that passion, that that you have that also is fulfilling to you. After being an educator for 17 years, I've been a teacher's aide, I've been a teacher, I've been a department head, I've been a lead teacher, I've been an assistant principal, I've been a principal. And none of those, I'm not going to say none of them, but I think I tried my spear of gamut. And it was like, what do I want to do? What do I want? What's next? What's my new passion? And I think by surrounding myself by like-minded people on EduMatch, my passion became my new focus, my new mojo was a way to combine my previous career, which was in journalism, sports journalism, and combining it with my new love of technology. And in the last year, a lot came out of me and my EduMojo. To the point where my school is now renamed John J. Bagley School of Journalism and Technology. I have been doing professional development on integrating technology in the classroom. We have a school newspaper. We also now have a broadcast show for the kids to practice journalism. So it took all that brainstorming on getting my mojo back to basically find my passion again. Sorry for the long-windedness. Those that know me know I'm like this all the time. So sorry.
Oh, no, no, no. That is great. Super excited to hear your passion for the topic and for education in general. And just hearing your journey is just amazing. So I remember when we first met, and you joined EduMatch, then just your journey has come so far from when we first met, in terms of your passion for just integrating technology in purposeful ways to get the most out of your students. So tell me a little bit about how do you use that passion for technology and that passion for journalism? I know that you spoke about it briefly, how you said that your school is now a hub for journalism, but how do you use these two passions in conjunction to get the most out of your students?
I have to attribute it, I really do have to attribute it to EduMatch and when I first started out. And like you said, for me, when I first came on EduMatch, when I first met you on Simple K-12, and then I came on EduMatch, and if you remember, my struggle was I had 2 electrical outlets and absolutely no technology, because I was coming from another school that had that. And now going to a school that did not. Our building is over 100 years old, so the wiring is much to be desired, but we make it work. I guess you can say I infused it. I just took a little bit at a time. And when I started on EduMatch, I think the biggest joke, shout out to Cynthia. I don't know where Cynthia's at, but shout out to Cynthia. But Cynthia used to call me every time something new came out, let Dorian try it. And I would be like, I'll try it. And I just kept trying stuff and getting excited about different things. And using my Twitter account for other than, because I think when y'all met me, I was using Twitter account to keep up with my TV shows, and using Twitter to connect furthermore with my PLN. So one of the things that I think that I've done really well is always coming in with, how can I use this with the kids? And always giving my kids a menu of technology to try. That was one. The other thing came, and I had to give Justin the credit in the world, because he gets on me about blogging. He gets on me about, I think Justin out of the whole group was the one that really said, you're an excellent storyteller. And I think it was you, because you heard it from someone else. If we don't tell our own stories, somebody will tell it for us. And I further used that I repeated it to my students. Everybody has a story to tell. And if you don't tell your story, somebody else will tell it for you. And there's no reason with all the social media that's out here for you not to be able to tell your story with credibility and validity. And it started with that. It started with just giving my students a menu of the way to turn in assignments. And less, I stopped seeing that paper, because they were like, maybe I'll Snapchat it, or maybe I'll do this, or maybe I'll do OneNote, or maybe I'll do. So I would just introduce it and say, this is a tool to keep under your tool belt. And we would go from there. And what really, really helps is I'm working with 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And on the journalism part, those students are the most nosiest students that I've ever met in my whole entire life. It got to the point that when we started the journalism club last year, it got to the point where the teachers were calling my students the TMZ club, because they were literally hiding in the crevices in the hallway. And if you, like, one teacher took another student out, and was talking to that student that was on the basketball team and reprimanded him for his classroom behavior. And the kids would come to the budget meeting for the paper. Oh, so-and-so might get kicked off the team. Miss so-and-so was talking to them. I mean, they really got into it till I had to be like, wait a minute, cut. Is that news or is that gossip? Is that on the record? Is that off the record? Where you are part of the conversation. So it was a whole bunch of tools that they started learning, like, well, why can't you just flip out your phone and just start? And I had to say, you can. And I understand that is the era that you're in, but that's not responsible journalism. That's not responsible journalism. So, you know, every little step has been like a learning phase for my students that they've enjoyed. And I'm gonna tell you, going back to the Mojo, if I can, I'm gonna tell you, I always talk to my PLN group about how I used to be when I was in high school and I had the opportunity to work for the city newspaper and cover a phenomenal NBA team at the time, and how I would want to go to the printing press and smell the ink, and it was like my high. Well, this is when I knew I officially got my Mojo back, EduMojo back. When I officially got my EduMojo back, we were printing the first issue of the student newspaper. And I mean, nothing big, not no big printing press. We just going down to the copy machine room and we, you know, laying the paper out and making it, you know, go around and around. And my student Naja, and I tear up even when I just think about that place. It was me and her sitting there. And she said, do you see it, Miss Roberts? Do you smell it? And I said, see and smell what? Because, you know, I'm still in the rough of it all. And she said, my name just going, and my name and my story just going and hitting the press. I love that smell. And my new high became watching her get her first high, her first story, her first byline, and how empowering it is to watch these students see other students read their story, see other students come up to them and say, oh, what else did they say? Well, what else did you print? Or see my students say, I should have wrote more. You know, the people want to see my story, or and to be at other meetings and to hear them say that's not news, that is news, or why are we asking about this, or why are we asking about that? And for them to really push themselves and not go with the status quo of politics, but really push themselves and say, why didn't you vote for this person? Why are we doing an election piece? Are we to assume that everybody voted this way instead of that way just because of the environment we are in? How do you know? You know, to be able to push them and them be receptive to it. So when I did that, that is initially how I got my EduMojo back. It really was. I remember it to the day. I can even tell you my nail polish that day.
That is, oh my gosh, that story is just amazing. Just, you know, hearing about how students, like how their passion fuels our passion. Absolutely. And you hit on like so many things that, you know, I can't wait to go back and edit this episode to go back and listen to all the things that you just said, because so much gold in that answer. So I love it. I love it. So like so when we're thinking of the school year coming ahead, how are you going to maintain that EduMojo like throughout the school year ahead? You know, because sometimes, you know, just like naturally there are rises and falls in energy as time goes on. And sometimes some people burn out, like after first quarter. So how can people kind of sustain that energy throughout the whole school year?
rest. Rest. It is, and you know, I love our educator folks. I love us. I love us. I love us. And I'm going to use. I'm not going to use different scenarios. I'm going to use me. I'm going to point the finger at me, because these were the things that I did that would burn me out. When I was working on my doctorate, I forgot, and I am a TV-ista. I look at TV all the time. I'm junk TV. Y'all know me, Housewives or whatever. I was all about the junk, the smut, the junk. Well, I just started reading, you know, taking it all in. And, you know, when you read with a purpose, and you read to implement. And I think that's where our burnout begins. We take in a lot of things. We learn about a lot of things. We learn through one another. And we completely burn ourselves out because we're trying to implement every single thing that has breezed by us. So my first bit of advice, start organizing what you're going to keep, what you're not going to keep, especially with technology. What are you going to do? What are you not going to do? And then what are you leaving room for something new? Last year, and I think, I know, Sarah, you and I had talked about this in depth. I could not remember when I started with EduMatch, I could not get that daggone EduMojo. I was like, you know, every time I felt defeated, I felt that the EduMojo clouds came over me, and I really wanted to use this system because I felt that this system was best for my students because we didn't have a lot of one-on-one technology to use. So I felt this was the best way. So I took the summer and I set aside, and remember I said I was going to learn about EduMojo and I was not going to be defeated. And I did. And that was my new thing that I learned. And because it was my new thing that I learned, it rolled like that. It rolled like that with my students. It rolled like that when I did the PD on it, whatever. So I will organize my technology into what I'm not going to use anymore. Just take it off. Quit feeling guilty about it. You know, you're not using that tool anymore. It's okay. These are the tools that I'm keeping. This is my go-to. You know, my go-to is Class Dojo. I use Class Dojo for years. I mean, years that I care to realize. Years. Now, the difference is I don't have to use Class Dojo throughout the whole year. Usually, I stop using Class Dojo after December, but it's still one of my tools that I'm going to use because it kind of helps to structure my class and the expectation for the behavior. By January, my kids are calling out other kids. That's not being friendly. That's not sharing. We're not doing this on time. You know, where's your homework? You know, because you're messing up the group. That's one of the tools that I keep. And then the new tool, my new tool is OneNote. And Microsoft, what is it, Office 365? That's my new tool. So I'm leaving room to learn about that. So that's one way, organizing it. Number two, take time for self. Whatever is going to be there, to grade, to check, to read, to view, to be whatever. Take time for self. You got to take time for self. I am just coming off me and my son call it a 2-week tour of traveling by car. We went to my alma mater, Norfolk, Virginia. We went to Norfolk State. Then we went to New York to see his godmother. And we've been technically on the road for 2 weeks. But it was good. I connected. I didn't shut everything down. I connected, but I connected in a fun way. And I didn't get wrapped up into the whole brouhaha of what was going on during my travel, politically and socially. But I kept in touch enough for people to know I'm alive. I'm being silly. I'm out here in these Manhattan, Virginia streets, and I'm good. So just taking time out for you. And number 3, play. Please play. We get so detached from playing, and then we wonder how come our kids don't play fair. You have to play. You have to play. You have to have a good time. I recommend to everybody with all this tech that's going around, you know, nothing makes me feel good like a good old board game, like a good old card game. The touch, the feel, the moving, the kinesthetics of it all, the laughter, the conversation, doing 2 things, you know, multitasking, doing more than one thing, strategizing. Those are important things. Those are, to me, those are important things. And another one is just pacing yourself and realizing you can have it all, but you don't have to do it all. It is taking me 17 years to realize that. I suffer adamantly from the fear of missing out. I will, and Sarah tell you, she probably won't admit to it, but I'll sit up and be like, well, Sarah, was I taking out that group because I didn't? I'll be like, what's going on? And she'll be like, well, actually, we brought this up a couple of weeks ago and you were a little, so I have to it's the fear of missing out, but it's okay. I don't put my hand in every single pot anymore. And, sometimes I like to see others and be a fan of others. I'm a big fan of Justin and his blog. And Justin, I hope you hear all these plugs I'm giving to you. I'm a big fan of Heidi and what she's doing with Q Las Vegas. I'm a big fan of Valerie Lewis with Pass the Scope EDU. And everything that everybody else is doing. Of course, I'm a big fan of Sarah the teacher, because I wouldn't even be if it wasn't for me not understanding simple K-12, Google Hangouts, and getting the tweeting Sarah on the side. It is okay to it's just okay. It's okay to miss out, and you can have it all, but you don't have to do it all, because your all is different from somebody else's. Right now, my all is my son, making sure he has a good senior year. My all is me and making sure that I am transcending and transforming and taking my talents to the next level, taking my EduMojo to the next level, crafting it, retooling it. Those are my 2 biggest things. So everything else, you know, I may miss out on. It happens. It happens. But just because I missed out on it doesn't mean I don't have my all, because my all is different. My all is different from you. My all is different from our viewers. My all, and their all is different from mine. So I can have all that I want, but I don't have to do all to get it. And those are my things.
Yeah, that is so true. I love that. So you can have it all, but you don't have to do it all. So, you know, that reminds me of when we were talking about that book you were reading, The Year of Yes. Was that Chandra Rhimes? Is that the author?
Yes, that is one of the main books I think that made me recognize that I lost my EduMojo. It was okay to say that I lost it and how I was going to get it back. And it was so much stuff that, and I wrote a blog about it, about just the fear of failing and failing and falling. I think that was, I failed, I fall. I think that was the name of the blog. And I talked about how the older we get, like when you fall, the bruises are a little bit more severe because you got more responsibility. You know, when you falling when you're falling and failing when you're 20 is different than falling and failing when you're in your 40s and you got a family and you know, it's different nonetheless. And I remember looking back at my 20s and remembering how fearless I was. Like, I'll try it, you know, and who's gonna stop me from doing it? And as I've gotten older, and it's like, I don't know, because last time I almost broke my neck, so I don't want to do that no more, you know. So the year of yes, just it's more than about just saying yes to everything, but it's about saying yes to yourself to try new things and be okay when they don't work out. And one of the things, she didn't have a chapter on it, but I added my own chapter. I say yes to saying no. I say yes to saying no. That is one thing that I just started. I would be too scared to say no, thinking, wondering how people would feel. So that was my new thing. I said yes to saying no. No, I'm going to be unable to do that at this time. No, that's not going to work for me. And stand firm. You don't. And I think as educators, we have a hard time doing that. We say yes to everything because everybody wants to believe that kids, you know, that if you put the tagline, do it for the kids, Sarah. Once you put that tagline in, then, you know, we are sitting up there feeling like a sucker. And let me go ahead and do it. And, you know, and we gripe all the way through it. You know, I should be at home. I didn't have time to do this. And now I messed up my schedule and this. But guess what? Kids say no to us all the time. All the time. Because kids are fearless. And they will let you know, not that I can't do it at this time. I don't want to do it. I don't think I should do it. And I think it's something wrong with you for asking me to do it. Kids are resilient. So I kind of take that passion that kids have and I flip it around for myself. And I allow myself to say no at that. And sometimes I say, no, that's not going to work for me. Why? Because it's not. Point blank, period. And I sometimes have to say just that, point blank, period. So that book was really, really important to me. And I recommend any human to read it. Any human to read it. When especially introverted people. Because because Shonda Rhimes is very, very introverted. And not to give too much of it away, but it was like she was at the peak. She was at her parents' house. And she was talking to her sister and she was talking about, oh, I've been invited here. I've been invited there. I've been invited here. And her sister said, it was so hilarious. Her sister said, I don't even know why you're talking about this because you never go to anything. And she was like right then and there in the thick of it. Like, she's right, but I'm still mad she said it like that. So that I hope that engaged anybody to read the book. I know we got, you know, other people that read stuff, fly off the seat of your pants and, you know, teach like this is on fire or whatever. But sometimes I learn a lot from autobiographies. I learn a lot that don't entail education at all, that I think makes me a much better teacher because I have another story that I know about. I have another vision of a younger celebrity being a student and how to engage them better. So, you know, that's one of my things. Right now, I'm reading Kevin Hart's I Can't Make This Stuff Up. I Can't Make This Up. So that's the new book that I'm reading. And I can't tell you what I'm learning from that book, but I'm laughing my butt off, I got to tell you.
That is too cool. Yeah, and there's a lot that can be brought into, the educational space from outside educational sources. I can't remember who exactly I was talking to, but they were talking about like podcasts, and it might have been Justin, and how like not every podcast he listens to is educational. But there, sometimes, sometimes there's like a message in those as well that, you can take away and use with the classroom. Like, for example, Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week. And then, excuse me, there was a chapter in there about outsourcing, like how he would hire like a virtual assistant online to do his work for him. And he had a rationale. He had a whole lot of rationale behind it. But I started thinking, okay, so what if I outsource some things to the students? And then it turned into a win-win-win, like the student tech team. When they went and they repaired other teachers' devices, then they learned how to do it. The teachers got their things repaired faster than if they were waiting for me to come around, and that freed me up as well. So it was a win-win-win. So,
yeah. And you know what? To piggyback on that, Sarah, that was another thing that I did that helped integrate technology into my school. My principal, Principal Krista Reed, she gave me the opportunity to, what do you want to call it, do 4 PDs on integrating technology. So that's what I did. And I talked about it, the experience in the blog, but the last PD, when I had the teachers finally engaged, I said, what can I do to make like a culminating project? And I was talking out loud, and my class was listening to me. And they knew, all the teachers who were staying after school and taking my PD, in my PD. And they said, well, they should know how to do this by now, and they should know. And they created the test. They created the test for them. They created the agenda. They did everything. They told me what I needed to do, that we did Kahoot with them. They came up with the questions, that we did Quizlets. They came up with the questions. It was great. And it was so funny when they left out my class at the end of the day, and the new teachers would come. I mean, the teachers were coming in. They were like, hope you passed the quiz. I made this one. I hope you passed that. I made this one. And it was, I mean, my kids literally got the teachers into coding because I taught them coding. And they said, you should teach them coding. And I'm like, really? I said, I don't know, because, these some hardcore teachers. They've been doing paper and pencil for the longest. I don't know if they teach them coding. Teacher, and then some of the staff was hooked on it. It's like, so I think it's validity in outsourcing to our students, and instead of it us being, oh, look at what I have and what I know, and I think it made students be more, made them more attentive and better listeners when they know they had to go back and they're responsible for helping another staff member. And I'm glad you brought that up, because now I done got something from the tweet and talk, because I think that's what I'm going to have them do instead of me ripping and running around the school as the new tech person up there. I'm going to have these kids do it because they know what to do. So good looking out, Sarah. Now I learned something from the tweet and talk, and it didn't come from me. Good looking out. I like that.
Oh, that's what's up. I'm glad that you like that one. Yes, that one helped me, and it saved me so much time. And the kids loved it. The staff loved it. So yeah, and what you're saying is so right. Like in terms of them creating things and them teaching the staff. Like I forgot who said this, but the best way to learn something is by teaching it. So definitely getting the kids involved in teaching staff members. That is just so awesome. All right. Yes, absolutely. So I know like it's starting to get a little late, so I just have one more question for you. So, well, 2 more questions actually, but one more like question. The last one's going to be like, how can people find you online? But question before last is, so if somebody were to come to you and say, I feel like I've lost my EduMojo, right? What advice would you give them? You already gave some great tips on how to sustain it throughout the year, but for somebody who doesn't even know where to begin, then what would you suggest to that person to do?
First thing I would suggest is do like I did. I talked it out, and you were a part of the talk out, and several others that I've listed previously. And you definitely go to your PLN. I think sometimes we have a tendency in our PLN, and the PLNs are supposed to be very resourceful, but they're also supposed to be a place of honesty. They're supposed to be, you're supposed to surround yourself with people that you can be professionally vulnerable from, or with. You should be able to say to your PLN, I'm really struggling with this, and your PLN not have judgment. So if you can't do those things with your PLN, you need to drop that and find some other people that you can do it with. That's the number one. That's the number one thing, because when I struggled, when I felt that I was at my brink, you were there. Well, maybe it's the location. I mean, yeah. Justin was there. Yeah, I hear you. It's rough out here in these hallways. I mean, Heidi was there. Shelley was. I mean, everybody in my PLN, listen. Everybody didn't try to fix, but everybody listened, and everybody was supportive. And everybody allowed me to kind of like fudge my way through. So the number one thing I think that's important is to be in a good supportive PLN, so you don't feel alone and you don't have to hash this out by yourself. And I don't think it was anybody in my particular PLN that shamed me, judged me, or at one point in their education career didn't feel the same way that I felt. And that was important for me to hear. I needed to hear that I wasn't by myself. That was the main thing. Once I figured out that I wasn't by myself, and once I listened to, like, someone said, you know, I was there and then I got this new position and I'm not in that place anymore because I'm trying to feel my way in this position. Once I figured out that I wasn't alone, that helped. Number two, I think you need to start journaling / blogging. I think you need to journal your thoughts, because when you go back and you read your thoughts, you kind of start saying, okay, well, I didn't like this, I didn't like that, but maybe I'll like this, or maybe I'll try this. You really have to sit down and have a conversation and find out what your interests are in this platform of education. There's nothing like teaching something that you're not connected or passionate with. And that was the main thing that was up with me. I no longer just wanted to be an elementary self-contained teacher. I wanted to do other things. And when it fell in my lap to do, the only one, how can I put it? The only way I was able to do it is that journalism and technology fell in my lap. And by me working on the proposal for our school, that helped a great deal. And I started seeing, oh, I could interweave it. I could do this. And, that helped a great deal. The other thing, let me see, talk to your PLN, journal and blog. And I would just say, try new things. You might want to try a new class. Now, nobody's saying you got to do a new program like me, because now I'm currently working on my second master's. I have to make fun of myself all the time, because the minute I say I'll never, ever, ever go back to school, look at me. But I'm working on my second master's in instructional technology. And listen, I don't even know what you can do with an instructional technology degree, to be honest with you. But I'm having fun. I'm having fun. And I even discussed my homework with my PLN. And it kind of like, we kind of like rejuvenate ourselves. Like, oh yeah, I remember when we used to do this, and remember when we used to do that. Whatever happened to this? Whatever happened to, what was it that we were talking about? MySpace. Remember when we were talking about, remember when we were laughing about those groups? You know, so that helps. And shout out to Shervette, because she helped me with my homework last week, so I can't forget her. Shout out to Shervette. But those are like some of the things that I would just do. You know, find out where your interests are. Don't feel afraid to take a new interest inventory check of yourself professionally. And, you know, just bite off a little. Try something new. And listen, it's okay to be a nerdy teacher. Nerdy teachers still rock. I'm still a nerdy teacher. Through it all, I'm still a nerdy teacher. And it's okay, teachers, when you see the back to school sales, to want to pile your truck up with composition books for no reason whatsoever. It's still okay.
Okay. I was having some trouble with the mute button, but yes, absolutely. And that's so true. I still do that as well. I look for those 1 cent deals, you know. It's funny. I'm not with students anymore, but I still love those composition books. My goodness.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Oh man, but it's been great having you on, Dr. D. So thank you so much for joining us. So how can people get a hold of you if they want to find out more about you, about what you do, or more about EduMojo?
You can tweet me. I'm at DRROBERTS. You can hit me up on Instagram at Dorian710. You can hit me up on Facebook. Let me just let you know, my Facebook is my whole name. And my Facebook is me personally. You could always hit me up, but it's not the teacher Facebook. Sorry, you know, there's more to me than being in education 24 hours a day. I'm not judging anybody that does that, but I'm just saying I choose not to do that because I need a break. And let me see, that's about it. I Periscope Dorian 17, and I'm going to start Periscoping my blogs more often. And you can hit me up on Voxer, at DRROBERTS.
Well, that is awesome. That is awesome. You shared so much great information with us today. So thank you so much for being on here. And thank you to everybody who is watching on YouTube Live and everyone who is tweeting along and everyone watching on Periscope as well. So this episode is going to be available as a podcast, hopefully sooner rather than later. Been doing really well knocking these out this past week. So definitely looking forward to seeing you all hopefully next week, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be talking about students giving teachers feedback. So if any of you, if any parents would like to, you know, have your child sign up to give his or her feedback, then please, by all means, we welcome that. And also educators are welcome on the panel as well. We've heard from David before, Dr. Roberts' son. So yeah, he's made a couple of. Okay. Yeah, sign him up. So you can just go to. Definitely. Yeah. So just go to podcasts.edumatch.org/sign up. And then you know, anyone can be a panelist. So we're definitely looking for students this episode as well as educators. So a mix of both. Also wanted to give a shout out to Mind Fair DC. Just came from that and saw some awesome educators from the PLN. So Mary Alice Curran D. They've been guests on EduMatch Tweet and Talk before. Also saw Steve Isaacs and Kathy Cho Isaacs as well. Just amazing folks. So shout out to you all. So if you all like the podcast, subscribe. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on Stitcher, and a couple of other places. So just sign up anywhere that you like to listen to podcasts, and we're probably there. So definitely looking forward to seeing you all next week. So have a great one.